Okay, so we're going to continue looking at Beowulf. Now that you've already studied the prologue, we're going to take some time to be introduced to the monster of Beowulf, which is named Grendel. So if you open up so that you're on the first section and it's entitled The Monster Grendel, let's learn a little bit more about the beast in Beowulf. Because of course, what epic is an epic without a dragon to slay or a beast to conquer? A powerful monster living down in the darkness growled in pain, impatient as day after day the music rang loud in that hall. The harp's rejoicing call and the poet's clearest songs sung of the ancient beginnings of us all, recalling the Almighty making the earth, shaping these beautiful plains marked off by oceans, then proudly setting the sun and moon to glow across the land and light it. And stop for a second. Okay, so we're introduced, we know the monster is down below, okay, in the ground. Above him is the castle, and the monster's pained by the sounds coming from the castle. The fact that there's this harp music rejoicing. It appears that they're rejoicing the making of the earth, and it starts talking about the making of the earth. Okay? And it's going to continue talking about the making of the earth for a little while, and then we're going to get around line 15 or so some information about Hrothgar's men. They lived happy in his hall till the monster stirred, that demon, that fiend Grendel, who haunted the moors, the wild marshes, and made his home in a hell, not hell but earth. He was spawned in that slime, conceived by a pair of those monsters born of Cain. Now remember, or perhaps you're not aware, Cain is known as the first murderer, and so this monster is spawned from those that were born of Cain. Okay? So he's a background of murder in his history. Murderous creatures banished by God, punished forever for the crime of Abel's death. Again, if you're not familiar with the biblical story, Cain was the murderer of his brother Abel. The Almighty drove those demons out, and their exile was bitter. Shut away from men, they split into 1,000 forms of evil. Spirits and fiends, goblins, monsters, giants. And it's going to go on a little bit more. So you're noticing the religious references, the biblical references. Remember from our background of Britain's history that there are very distinct, brought in by St. Augustine, religious and kind of a Latin Catholic background there. And so you shouldn't be surprised in the literature when you have these connections being made, because this is very much a part of England's history. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to continue reading about the monster Grendel. And I want you to take some time to think about what we consider to be monstrous or what we portray monsters to look like today. Think about children's books that you may have read, or think of pictures that you may have seen where we draw dragons or other creatures, and compare those images that you've seen to the image that we see in Beowulf of Grendel. And how is Grendel similar to monsters that we've created today? And how might Grendel be different than the monsters we've created today? And that's what I'd like you to submit for this assignment. Because in order to understand Beowulf and the heroics that go along with Beowulf, it really is important to spend just a little bit of time actually looking at the monster that he is, of course, later forced to battle. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.